Good evening, everyone. Today we are going to talk about our pilot study. Our study's title is The Influence of the Foreign Language Effect on Chinese Students' Academic Help-Seeking Intentions at the University of Malaya. I'm Sun Chen. I will introduce the first part, Introduction. Background. With the growing international student population, their reluctance to seek academic help, a crucial success strategy, remains a pressing concern. Prior research emphasized language barriers, but overlooks the foreign language effect (FLE), how using a foreign language itself alters cognitive and emotion. This study fills that gap by examining how the FLE influences help-seeking intentions and its underlying psychological mechanisms. Findings aims to inform more effective theory-driven support system for Chinese students. The problem statement is that despite the critical role of academic help-seeking in ensuring international student success, a persistent help-seeking gap remains between international and domestic students. Traditional explanations often focus on general language proficiency or cultural barriers, yet they fail to account for the foreign language effect (FLE), a physical phenomenon where using a non-native language systematically alters cognitive and emotional processing. The core of the problem lies in the ambiguity surrounding how the use of a foreign language directly shapes help-seeking intentions. While some theories suggest that a foreign language may provide emotional distance, potentially reducing social anxiety, others indicate it may significantly increase perceived cognitive cost and enhance the threat to self-esteem when admitting academic struggle. There are three research gaps. The first one is limited application of the foreign language effect in academic contexts. Second is under-exploration of psychological mediators. And the last one is contextual gap in multicultural education hubs. And our research questions, the first one is to what extent does the foreign language effect influence the academic help-seeking intentions of Chinese students? The question 2 is how do specific psychological mechanisms mediate the relationship between the foreign language effect and Chinese student decisions to seek or avoid academic help? And the next is the research objective. The first one is to examine the direction and stress of relationship between the foreign language effect and the level of academic help-seeking intentions among Chinese students. Number 2 is to test the mediating roles of perceived cognitive load and social evaluative anxiety in the relationship between the foreign language effect and the academic help-seeking intentions. The last one is research significance. There are two significances. The first one is this study contributes to the expansion of foreign language effect framework by applying it to the specific domain of academic help-seeking. On the other hand, this research offers actionable insights for universities and educators, particularly in multicultural hubs like Malaysia.
The second part is literature review. The first is the author and the year. Cotter, Wong, Bradshaw, Fairvie, and Borup wrote this article in 2023. About the research question, how do gender, age, and ethnicity relate to students' academic help-seeking in a multicultural university, and which factor matters most? And the following is the research objective. About the methodology. The methodology is divided into three parts: design, measure, analyze. About the key finding, we can find that age mattered most and ethnicity differences were small overall. About the comparison across all studies, versus Muller, Carter highlights age and ethnicity, not gender plus concealing belief. And the following is versus Val, Mizo, and Del Michelle. About the critical discussion gap, our UM study adds a language-based gap, how FLE shapes Chinese students' help-seeking intentions and why. This is the second article. It's wrote by Mizo and other authors in 2020. The research question is, does using a foreign language versus a native language change choices in classic risk framing and moral dilemma tasks, even for highly fluent bilinguals? And the following is the research objective. About the key findings, we can find three. The first one is language changed choices. The second one is it wasn't only about a true foreign language. The third one is not just a weaker emotion. The following is comparison across all studies. And the critical discussion gap, we can find that our study transfers FLE into a real university behavior context. The third author is written by Del Michelle and other authors. The first is research question and research objective. And the methodology is also divided into three parts: design, search, and analyze. And about key findings, the first one is overall effect exists, and the second one is typical pattern. The comparison across all studies, especially versus Mizo et al. In 2020, we can find that meta-analysis gives overall evidence. Mizo is one experimental test. The final one is the critical discussion gap. Our UM study targets this gap by testing FLE, help-seeking intentions, with cognitive load and social evaluative anxiety as mediators. The fourth article is written by Mala in 2022. We can find that the research question and the research objective is that how are college students' academic health concept, help-seeking behavior, and belief in counseling effectiveness related, and how do male and females differ? And the research objective is survey 182 college students and use correlation and multiple regression to see how much self-concept and belief explain help-seeking and which predictor is stronger. About the critical discussion gap, our UM study extends this by testing FLE and mediators. The last article is written by Raleigh and other authors in 2025. About the key findings, we can find that social goal orientation was positively related to students' academic help-seeking and math achievements. And academic help-seeking also significantly predicted higher mathematics achievement. About the critical discussion gap, our UM study fills the gap by adding foreign language context and psychological mechanisms to explain help-seeking intention. And these 5 articles are our references.
Then comes to the methodology. For the research design, this is a small-scale quantitative pilot study. We focus on whether using English or Chinese makes a difference when Chinese students decide whether to ask their lecturers for academic help. Because this is a pilot study, our goal is not to make big claims, but to see whether this research design works well in a real university setting. And our participants are Chinese students at the University of Malaya. We use convenient sampling, mainly because this is a pilot study and the feasibility is much more important than others. Participants will be invited through student groups and online platforms. About 30 to 50 participants. And participation is voluntary, and students choose whether to take part after receiving information about the study. For research instruments, we use survey questionnaire, but it has two parts. The first part is a background questionnaire, which collects basic information and language background data, such as first language, length of study at the university, and self-reported English proficiency. And the second part is scenario-based questionnaire. Students read short situations about asking a lecturer for help, either in English or in Chinese. This design allows us to directly test the foreign language effect in an academic help-seeking context. Then the procedure of our data collection. Participants complete the questionnaire online, starting with background questions and then the scenarios. They rate how likely they are to ask their lecturer for help, and the whole process takes about only 6 to 8 minutes. Keeping the questionnaire brief and clear helps increase the likelihood of full completion. For analysis, we mainly compare responses between Chinese and English conditions. We start with descriptive statistics and then look at differences between the two language contexts. This analysis plan directly matches our research questions. Ethical issues are also considered. Participation is voluntary. Responses are anonymous, and no sensitive questions are asked. Participants can leave the study at any time. Last is the limitations and reflection. Finally, we are aware of some limitations. The sample size is small, and the study relies on self-reported intentions rather than actual help-seeking behavior. As a result, the findings have limited generalizability. Potential challenges include participant recruitment and differences in individual English proficiency. But these issues are addressed by keeping the questionnaire short and clearly worded. Despite the limitations, the pilot study provides valuable insights for improving the research design in future studies. And this is our references. That's all. Thank you.